Okay, in question 11, we are given a diagram and various things are explained to us. So this is a diagram, I hope you can see that in pencil there. So we've got this inner circle of radius n-1, the outer circle of radius 2n plus 6, and the distance between the inner and the outer, the area, sorry, between the inner and the outer is shaded, and that's the region R. We're told that shaded region R is greater than the area of a circle with radius n plus 13. We're told that n is an integer, and we're asked to find the minimum value for n, which I've called n min. Okay, so where are we going to start? Well, clearly areas of circles are involved here, so let's start then by finding the area of the inner circle, the area of the outer circle. We can then subtract one from the other, and we've got the area, and then we've got the area R. Okay, so let me start then. So area of circle with radius n-1, so we'll go for the inner one first. Well, we know it's pi r squared, of course, for the area of a circle. But in this case, our area is n-1, so we get pi times n-1 squared. So now we need to expand that. Safest way to expand a bracket squared is to write the bracket twice, and then just expand in the normal way. So we've got n times n squared, minus n, minus another n, so minus 2n, minus 1 times minus 1 is plus 1. Okay, and for the moment, that's where I'm going to leave. That pi is going to crop up time and time again, so I'd rather just leave pi outside, because it may well end up disappearing through a sort of cancellation process later. So on a new sheet then, I'm now going to work out the area of the large circle. So that's a circle with radius 2n plus 6. Sorry, 2n plus 6. And again, of course, that's pi r squared to start with as our formula. Substitute in the 2n plus 6. Write that bracket twice. Sorry, keep writing pi. Okay, 2n plus 6, bracket 2n plus 6. Okay, 2n times 2n is 4n squared. 6 times 2n is 12n. 6 times 2n there is another 12n. 6 times 6, 36. So, done it again, look. Done it again. My brain's in pi gear. Right, 12n plus 12n is 24n. Plus 36 there. Okie doke, so that's our area of the larger circle. Now the region R is the large circle minus the small circle, so it's large minus small. Now the large is then this, so it's the pi times 4n squared plus 24n plus 36, minus the small, which we found earlier to be pi times n squared minus 2n plus 1. Now notice that pi is still a common factor of all of this, so what we can therefore do in this situation is to still keep pi outside of a bracket, but then write all the other terms inside the bracket. So pi is being multiplied here by 4n squared plus 24n plus 36. It's being multiplied here by minus n squared plus 2n minus 1. Well, that's what it would be if you multiplied it out anyway. So we can now tidy that up on the inside. We've got 4n squared minus n squared is 3n squared. 24n plus 2n is 26n. 36 minus 1 is 35. Okay, so that's our region R. Now, the next thing is we were told that, if I go back to my notes on the first page here, we were told that the region R is greater than the area of a circle with radius n plus 13. So the next thing we need to do is work out what the area of a circle with radius n plus 13 is. Okay, so area circle radius n plus 13. So pi r squared as usual. Substituting then r n plus 13. write the bracket twice. Expand. So n squared plus 13n plus another 13n, that's going to be plus 26n. 13 times 13 is 169. Okay. Okay, so we were told then that the region R is greater than the area of a circle of radius n plus 13. So subbing what we know then, region R is this. So pi times, 3n squared plus 26n plus 35. Area of the circle radius n plus 13 is this. Pi times n squared plus 26n plus 169. And now we have the inequality to solve. So I'm going to shove that up there and start a new page. I'll continue on a new page. Now, if you divide through this by pi, then it would get rid of pi. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? And you can do that, even though it's an inequality, you can do that because it's a positive number pi. You don't have to flip the inequality sign or anything like that. You can just divide through by pi. So let's do that and then reduce it down to 3n squared plus 26n plus 35 greater than n squared plus 26n plus 169. Now you can start subtracting, so we can subtract the n squared there. So that delivers 2n squared, so that's subtracting n squared. What else? We can subtract the 26n. That's going to be nice. Look, because that cancels out 26n on both sides. And then just let's leave it like that. So that means 2n squared plus 35 is greater than 169. So then maybe let's take the 35 across to the other side. So now let's subtract 35, leaving only 2n squared on the left. 169 minus 35 is 134. Divide through by 2. 134 divided by 2 is 67. So n squared has got to be greater than 67. Now let's just see what the square root of 67 is. You've got to be a bit careful with inequalities, and you'll learn more about this in the first couple of weeks of the new term. So inequality, quadratic inequalities, you've got to be a bit careful with. But this is a relatively simple one, and we can still do it using our existing knowledge. So let's square root 67, and bear in mind that it would be plus or minus if you're taking the square root. Okay. Now that gives on your calculator. Let's just confirm that for you. Square root of 67, 8.185, etc., etc., etc. So plus or minus 8.185, etc., etc., etc. Now, the radius is positive. So we've got to be careful about this. This is potentially a value for n, remember. So let's go back to our initial diagram. If the radius of any circle has got to be positive, then at the very least this n minus 1, which is going to be the smaller of the two, that has still got to be positive. Okay, so n minus 1 has got to be positive. So that means n minus 1 has got to be greater than 0. And if n minus 1 has got to be greater than 0, you can add 1 to both sides, and you get the result that n has got to be greater than 1. Well, of our two options here, clearly negative 8.185 is not greater than 1. Positive 8.185 is greater than 1. Okay, so that means then we're dealing with 8.185, the positive value only. We know that the result of that squared has got to be greater than 67. So 8 squared is only 64. That's not good enough. We're going to need to be higher. So we know that n min has got to be greater than 8.185, etc. Because the 8 option is certainly not working, so it must be other way, and therefore n min being an integer is going to have to be 9.